Hi, so today's video is about my first month into FIRE. FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. About a month ago, I got laid off. My husband Tyler and we decided to give it a try to start our FIRE life on the very same day. And over the past month, there's been a lot of processing, reflecting, and figuring out what this new chapter means. So it's a lot to unpack. If you're new here, hi, I'm Angie. From Straw to Freedom, my husband Tyler and we reached financial freedom in 6 years while traveling around the world. And now we're in a brand new chapter, Life After FIRE. And we're sharing everything we learned about achieving FIRE and what comes next. Hope it's helpful to you. Because my early retirement was triggered by a layoff. So I want to talk about it first. When we're getting closer to financial freedom, I thought that, okay, when we hit a certain number, I'm going to consider leaving my job. And then we hit the financial freedom number. I couldn't pull the trigger. I have this thing called 1 more year syndrome. Since the job is so comfortable, why don't I just continue to work a little bit longer so that we have a bigger nest egg? And then this layoff came, and it's like a forceful way to remove the rope handcuffs on me. So I finally could start my freedom life. But the downside of it is, on top of processing the new chapter, I have to also grieve for the job loss. And not just the job, it's the whole career path that I was on for many, many years. So there are 5 emotional stages in retirement. And usually after you retire, you will go to the honeymoon phase when you enjoy the new earned freedom. But I actually skipped that honeymoon phase and went straight to this disenchantment phase for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 was when we set out to pursue financial freedom, we also pursue time and location freedom. And we actually unlock those before financial freedom via multiple ways. And one of those is my remote job. So we're not tied into a specific location, and we can be really flexible with our time. So we got to spend them really meaningfully by traveling around the world and also spending time with our families and friends. And the second reason why I skipped the honeymoon phase was I never felt really burnt out from my job. My relationship with my previous job was as healthy as it could be. It was purely transactional. I was not attached to it. I forgot about it the moment I closed my laptop. And I loved my coworkers because this is a remote job. So it gave me a lot of flexibility in time and location. I was really intentional when I picked out the job because whatever it is, it has to bring me closer to the freedom goals that we set. And I think I got a pretty good pick. I was really grateful for the job. But then I would share later about leaving the job really changed certain things for the better. And because of those 2 reasons, we unlocked time and location before financial freedom. And also I had a really comfortable job. It sort of gave us the honeymoon phase even before we started our FIRE life, if that makes sense. So that's why right after I lost my job and we started the FIRE life, I immediately entered the disenchantment phase. The definition of this phase is you start feeling worn out because you aimlessly try to fill your time with anything that will keep you occupied. You may find yourself feeling restless, bored, and unfulfilled. I was in this phase for almost a month. The 3 biggest things that I felt was a big shift for me are guilt, energy, and focus. Let's talk about energy first. The day after I got laid off, my energy just crashed. I was just exhausted for 1 to 2 weeks after. I couldn't bring myself to do anything productive, and I already was in this weird limbo phase of grieving for my job and also figuring out what's the next thing is going to be. So without the energy, it makes me feel discouraged. I questioned myself, is this something that I really want to do? This freedom thing? Why does it feel so exhausting? And then my energy after a few weeks, it started rushing back. It's not even coming back, it's rushing back. All of a sudden, I just had so much energy. What I have observed is even when you walk out from a meaningful and good job to takes a while to decompress. So it's a very normal thing, I think, to feel exhausted after you left a job or a career. So then the next thing is guilt. I had multi-layers of guilt. The first one was I didn't have energy to do anything productive. I felt guilty about playing puzzle during the time that I consider my peak performance. Everybody was working hard and I'm just here playing puzzle. I also felt guilty about not knowing what to do next and not being able to figure out this whole freedom life that I had been working so hard for. And the last thing, which is the biggest guilt, was I think freedom means different thing for everyone, but you need to have a very big goal for freedom so that you can push through everything in life to get to it. And my reasons, I want to have more freedom so I can be more dedicated to my mindfulness practice. And I envisioned that once I got the financial freedom, I would leave my job, I would go to meditation retreats. I would create good conditions in my life so I can practice mindfulness better. And then the first 2-3 weeks, I was so tired. I just couldn't see myself pursuing anything of those. And I felt extremely guilty. So that's guilt. And then the third one is focus. This is a very interesting one. So even for the first 1 to 2 weeks when I was so tired, I already started to get glimpses of an increase in focus. Whenever I did some house chores or making my matcha in the morning, I felt like, oh, I actually don't have the next thing to think about or rush through. I don't have to think about what I'm supposed to say at the meetings, what I'm supposed to be doing to this project. All of the activities through the day, it felt lighter because I was not on a schedule or a deadline. I was just going through my day as is. And so every little activities, I could give it a lot more attention. And then as my energy started to come back more and more, it just got much easier to be mindful, to calm down my mind and meditate. I had enough pauses in my mind to remind myself, oh, when you walk on those steps of stairs, just stay mindful on the steps. And another thing about this gradual increasing in focus really helps me tackle complicated tasks. Before, when I had a job, anything that requires so much of my attention and focus just drained me out. Let's say tax strategies. So there's a lot of research, thinking, and calculations that went into it. So I had to really dedicate a time and energy effort into doing it. And before, I just felt drained. But now it was a huge shift. I was able to just really take my time and going through the whole task, which made it much more enjoyable. This shift in energies opened up a lot of mental space. Before, my mental space was this house, and my job was the elephant in the house. I had a really good relationship with the elephant. It never threw any tantrum, but it was so big that it blocked other areas of the house. I also had a pressure of making the elephant happy and well fed, so that a lot of my attention went to it. And whenever I wanted to bring another animal in, there was never enough space to squeeze that animal in. So I always had to deal with whatever space left after the elephant. And now the elephant was out, I had the whole space to myself. And at the beginning, it was so blank that I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I started experimenting. I brought back a panda, a tiger. Another thing, I was so used to the elephant that I didn't show up to it with curiosity and excitement. And now with the new panda and the new tiger, I felt so curious about it. I wanted to learn about it, and that brought me a lot of joy. And another thing is I was not under the pressure of making money from those animals, so I let my curiosity and creativity take me. And that's the best I could describe how not having a job did to my mental space. It's still very messy in the house. After years of just focusing on the elephant, I finally showed up to projects with curiosity, with the tenacity that I used to have. And then I got into the flow state pretty easily too, just because how much I enjoyed the new project. And then after my energy came back, my meditation became so much calmer. The dust has settled after a few weeks, and I also intentionally unplugged myself from social media to give myself a lot of quiet time to process. My biggest revelation about this whole job loss thing was I never realized that how much of a distraction and an excuse a job was to me. So in my 20s, I was looking for something that I wanted to do with my life, and when I found it, I started a career, and then I put that career on autopilot. So I stopped questioning about having a job. Why am I doing it? How long would I do it? And how is it fitting into my life? And then when the job was taken away from me, that is when I had to face the question, what am I truly wanting from this life? Because now I have the time and the freedom to do it. Before achieving financial freedom, I thought that, okay, my retirement life would be spending time with family, traveling, and doing things that I always wanted to do. But then I realized that those things were for entertainment and pleasures. It was just like the surface. And what I need to figure out is the foundation of it. And that's a very deep, complicated question that I've been pushing away using my job as an excuse. Or another thing I want to point out is these philosophical questions about what I want from life was so difficult to the point that I even contemplated on going back to the job market and getting another job. So I didn't have to process through it, but I have to be outside of my comfort zone. Now I have the time and space to really process it. I feel like I'm on the right track, and I would continue to work on it and share more in the next check-ins. So all the lessons that I've learned after the first month of retirement at 35, the first thing was to really be patient to myself, because at the end of the day, it was a big shift. Of course, it was draining. So I had to really be patient with myself for not being productive and just let myself rest. And knowing that the energy is gonna come back eventually, knowing that my mental space is gonna be clearer. This is something I learned from a podcast. When you don't really know what to do with life, the best thing you can do is take really good care of yourself. So eat well, rest well, and everything's gonna fall into place. And it just makes sense when you make sure you are physically and mentally healthy, and that's when you'll be more open to where life can take you. And the second lesson is I feel like everybody is gonna go through those retirement phases sooner or later. So if you have the opportunity to afford early retirement, then give it a try, because better to go through it sooner so you can spend the rest of your retirement in a much calmer state with much more contentment. You cannot dodge those phases. Also, don't use your job as an excuse to not reflect on life, because life is just too valuable to keep putting it on autopilot. And this is my experience of the first month into FIRE. I sincerely hope that it is helpful. And if you want to check out the practical financial thing that we did after we decided to go FIRE, you can check out this video. Okay, bye for now.